Greetings everyone and welcome back to the podcast of my channel. Today I'm going to be discussing a topic that has been discussed a lot, quite frankly a little too much in the Undertale and Deltarune community, and that is, why does Sans bleed? And my answer to it, well, let's just say it differs from a lot of the theories that are popular. And speaking of which, let's discuss about the popular theories now. One, according to some people, he just put ketchup uh, up on his clothes and stuff, and just as a means to guilt trip the human and all of that. Some people think he genuinely bleeds, although I haven't seen many explanations of this other than the fact that bone, his skeleton, bones, bone marrow, and all of that. And the third major theory that I've seen is he's from Deltarune, and according to Susie, in Deltarune everyone bleeds and stuff, and you know the dialogue, right? I think again I feel like I don't need to explain these theories to you because, well, you know they are, as I said, the most prevalent theories regarding this question. Today, though, I am going to be discussing something that differs from a lot of these theories, but is also rooted in a dialogue from. Oh, oh, sorry, I had to pause regarding there. Anyway, the evidence for my theory actually comes from Sans' own brother, Papyrus, uh, and namely from a dialogue which you get by interacting with one of the things in his room. In case you don't know, when you go on a date with Papyrus, you can interact with many of the objects in his room, and each one prompts Papyrus to say unique dialogue. The most famous of this, if I had to guess, being the one in the way, being the one where you abort the genocide route by not killing him, and this, and after going on a date with him in that particular route and checking with the box of bones that is in his room, it prompts him to say, that's his special attack, and that would have blasted us away, and this is how they think about him having gaster blasters came into the theorizing board. So needless to say, this his room has, like, you know his room has like theorizing material, like, so I'm going to use said theorizing material to solve this mystery, or at least try to do it. And upon interacting with the the pirate skeleton flag that is on in the top left corner of his room, whom Papyrus says that the skeleton flag was found by Undyne, and in the shore, I think it's from the human world, and it prompts him to think. It prompts him to say that why would a human flag have a skeleton on it, and that prompts him to say that he has a theory, and his theory is that humans descended from skeletons. And while at first that this dialogue just seems like Papyrus trademark silliness, in the context of him, in the context of his brother bleeding, when I looked at it through that perspective, I realized that Papyrus might be onto something, and that his theory might hold water, or in this case, might hold blood. I guess, because Sans bleeds and stuff. Anyway, yeah, yeah. But before we discuss that, we need to discuss a few things. Namely, we need to discuss about the power dynamics in Undertale. Yeah. namely the ones regarding determination. Let me in case you somehow don't know, determination is one of the most powerful powers in Undertale because it literally gives you the ability to turn back time, and the beings that have the most determination in the Undertale universe are humans, and monsters are unable to wield determinations under normal conditions. And the reason for that is because they do not have physical bodies. This is what makes monsters a lot weaker than humans, and this is also basically why the entirety of the genocide route is possible. Despite Frisk only being a child, them having the determination that monsters do not, make it so that they are like very strong compared to even the most strongest monsters in the underground, like Undyne and Asgore, like at high enough LVs, I mean. You might be wondering why I bring this up. The reason I bring this up is because of Sans, and because it seems that he has blood. Now, let me now, assuming that this is blood that Sans has, and it's not ketchup and anything else, if we assume that this is in fact blood, and if we assume that Sans is not from Deltarune, which again, that is like my personal favorite theory of the three theories that I said, but assuming that in this case that is not true, so that would mean that Sans, instead of having a body that is comprised of magic, has a body that is comprised of a of physical matter instead of magic. And in case you forgot something about monster lore, the reason that monsters cannot hold determination is because again they do not have physical bodies, and I was said tracked there. The main thing about monsters is that their magical bodies gives them a form of advantage in the fact that they can change their stats and such based on what their emotions are. Namely, they can enhance their strength, under proper circumstances, uh, and they can enhance their bodies and such to have stronger stats. The main example of this is Undyne. In her undying form, she is able to, like, because her body is magical, she is literally able to change her armor to a different form, because um, I guess the armor is also magical in that case. Well, point is that because the monsters' bodies are magical, they can uh, change their stats to reflect that based on their own will. If we assume that Sans has blood, it means he has physical matter, not magic in his body, which means that his body would not be able to change in response to his emotions, which, in case you who are not following, might actually explain why he has so low stats. His body, unlike the bodies of other monsters, is not made up of magic, and as such he has a lot less control over his body, which is why he is unable to enhance it through his you know uh, will and such. But remember, a physical body also has an advantage. A physical body, unlike the body of a monster, as I have stated like 3 or 4 times in this video, has the ability to carry determination. So where am I going with this? Let's assume for a moment that this trait of being able to carry a physical body instead of a magical body is genetic, in the sense that Sans got the ability to carry this, the ability to body instead of a magical body from one of his parents. um, well, that if that is the case, that would actually bring us back to Papyrus's theory on how humans evolved from skeletons. Again, I had to stop the recording once again. Anyway, assuming that Sans is having assuming that Sans having a physical body is a genetical trait, in that he got it from one of his parents or one of his descendants, more accurately, because the way genetics works, under the right circumstances it can skip a generation. Like, you can have a trait that your grandfather has but your father does not, for example. uh, it's the recessive dominant genes and all of that. I'm not going to go too much into it, but just know that in case one of Sans descendants has this gene, that means under the right circumstances, enough skeleton monsters, like what, for example, Sans' theoretical ancestor, or under the right circumstances of um, of a species needing a physical body instead of a magical body, because of the advantage of having determination, because having determination can give a lot of advantage to a being. In that case, a species of such skeleton monsters, under the right circumstances, would keep on passing this trait throughout the generations, and at some point we will get a being that has a physical body completely and is no longer dependent on magic. Do you see where I'm going here? I am, of course, speaking about the humans. My theory is, at some point, a group of skeleton monsters who somehow got the gene and the ability to have a physical body instead of a magical one, through some form of mutation, under the right circumstances and the need of having determination and to survive, would have passed this trait along to their offspring, and throughout the generations it would accumulate, and under the right circumstances it can theoretically be able to lead to the birth of humans as a species. My And the reason that Sans bleeds is that even though he is not a human, he still has one of such genes that is that basically prevents him from having a magical body, but gives him a physical one. And as such, genetically he is similar to both monsters and humans, and as such, even though he is a monster, he still has some traits of having a physical body, and in this case that trait is having blood, and as such he bleeds. In case you have any doubts regarding how this theory and how I arrived at this conclusion, feel free to comment below, because well, I want you to understand this theory. In case I did not explain this properly enough. So yeah, just comment below if you have some doubts regarding the way I worded this and all of that. And like and subscribe if you want to see more wacky theories like this that are rooted in science, and really not really be based on anything that's stated too prominently in the game, but it's still based on some of the things we know about the game, because like having such as having determination posing a strength, you know having determination being a strength, and like undoubtedly, like if a monster, like gains the ability to have, properly build determination, it would make sense, like, to for that trait to be, cause some form of evolutionary change and all of that. Anyway, thank you for watching, and bye for now.